and it is my honor to introduce Don Stein. Take it away, Don.
Cool. Well, Molly, you're just amazing. I really appreciate you organizing all of this. And it's really cool to see where the whole industry of events is going towards, and bringing it online. And it was interesting because when I joined, I guess I had joined as the data told you I was an attendee, and so I wasn't able to get up on stage. And it's really interesting because what we've built is in some ways really bringing the idea of the human feeling and the human experience back to online, both online events, but just gatherings online in general. But the reason or the example I was going to give there is, so this is our app, and essentially what we've done is we've created a virtual event venue. So if I put my finger on the left side, I can look left. If I put my finger on the right side, I can look right. And there's my character. And what's interesting is if this was in a virtual world scenario, I can actually teleport up on the stage. And so now you'll see my character is sitting on stage in front of everybody. And so, that kind of human understanding, or just, making things more natural, is something that we've really tried to focus in on. Because if you think about like the collaboration landscape today, there's amazing tools that have become $10 billion plus companies as a result of building collaboration tools. Zoom's a great example of one of them. But a lot of them have overlooked, and there's still a big gap around this concept of bringing people together into the same room and having them be able to have a similar experience to what it would be like if they were actually in a real room. And the biggest point of being in a room with people is the fact that you have this serendipity. So if you're a remote company, probably what you're missing from your day-to-day activities is the water cooler conversation. So, the productive conversations that happen out of the blue because people are in the lunchroom together. If you're a community, a meetup organizer, what you're missing right now is, again, that serendipity of bringing great people together and seeing who becomes friends and where those friendships go. And so really that's what we've focused in on, is doing that. And so, Molly, do you want me to talk about what are kind of the topics that you'd want me to cover that are most relevant to everybody? I want to make sure I'm staying on.
Oh yeah, Don, you're doing great. Talk about your personal story. I mean, it's breathtaking how you fundraised for your venture. Let people know, because everybody told you to do it one way and you came up with the way to get it done, and now have raised a significant amount. Would you share about that? Because that's...
Yes. So the hardest part of this company was, so I started working on the company in 2017, and it was always this concept of virtual events and virtual meetings and making them more fun and more feeling like you're more present and actually there. And that idea to me was really obvious back in 2017, but it was really, really, really hard to get investors to buy into the vision. And that's because essentially there was, up until a few months ago, there was no real clear market. Or if there was a market, Zoom had already, captured it if it was an obvious market. And so I really struggled for a long time. So the traditional funding path is to raise a pre-seed round, and then a seed or angels, and then a seed round, and then a late stage seed, and then an A, and you kind of sequentially grow up check sizes with each round. So, the first one's maybe 100,000, the second one's $1 million, the next one's 5 million, the next one's 10 million, it kind of grows from there. We never were able to raise enough money to have more than probably 4 months of cash in the bank. And like the one time we did raise enough to have 6 months of cash, it was like the biggest luxury in the world. So essentially since 2017, every few months I've been going out there with the business on the line and trying to raise money to keep it going. That was really stressful. It's something that as the founder you need to keep to yourself. So nobody knew what was going on. I was just basically every 2-3 months trying to go raise more money. I did that, in every means possible. We did, unstructured rounds. So like basically I would just, as I was meet investors, I would, take their capital at whatever price it was, at whatever amount it was. I would just, take the money as we needed it, and as much as I could get. And also we did a crowdfunding campaign. So we actually allowed our users and our customers to invest directly into our company and take ownership. That's something that's really unique. It's also an innovation in the funding side of things. There's this thing called the Jumpstart Our Business Startups Act that Obama had implemented that not a lot of people are familiar with, but essentially it allows you to get going where your friends and family and customers and users can back you. So we raised, I think as of today, we've crossed 300 grand today. So, that's amazing. Like people that our end users are also giving us, capital to stay alive. So basically did everything we could. The business was really low on capital. I was really worried in December 2019. There was 3 investors who I talked to, and they basically allowed us to continue working forward with the business by giving us a few more months of runway. And I'll forever be grateful to those 3 people, because had they not done that in December 2019, we wouldn't have been a company that existed in February 2020. And because we were here, and because the nature of our product, we've now really just gone off to the races. More demand than we can keep up with, more investor interest than we know what to do with. Everything, kind of going in that right direction because the product helps people right now. And I think if you think about where the world is, it's a really valuable product because it brings this level of social engagement and community feeling to what is traditionally a really hard feeling to create online, and yet it's a feeling that's as old as time. So yeah, so the funding's been very interesting. And then where do we kind of go forward with that funding? So we have a product that at a small scale, we've had people like Molly host events successfully. We have remote companies hosting virtual office meetings successfully. We've had a birthday party. Someone had a 60th birthday party in here. I'm not even related to them. They just had the birthday party. We've had people from Dubai want to create a virtual venue where they can go in there and do their signing ceremonies. So traditionally in big business in Dubai, once you're done with the deal, you actually sign things in person and then have a celebration. So really interesting. So our kind of focus right now is moving specifically towards remote meetings and remote events, and really becoming a great place for people to gather together. So this specific venue right here is built for events. So as you can see, you customize your character. So you choose what they want. I'll get myself blue skin just for the heck of it. And Molly, these are all new features, but I'm sure you'll love the colors.
I am just drooling over here. I love.
Yeah. So I can be an alien on stage now since aliens exist. And then you appear on stage. As you can see, there's my blue skin. And then literally all you do is talk into your phone and your avatar starts to talk, animate, and move. And you can look around the room just with the tap of your finger. The really cool part is, like, for example, right now I'm presenting to, it looks like 53 participants. So I can't actually see any of you 53 people. And if I wanted to say something like, you in the front row, like, please come up here, ask your, or it's really hard for me to communicate. It feels to me personally like I'm talking to myself because I'm literally looking at a video of myself talking. Whereas in here, it brings this feeling of, oh, there is an audience out there. The audience can things like clap. They can raise their hand for the question. So, very natural part of how people connect. It's all done online. And then from an audience perspective, so you can jump into the audience just by teleporting, and you can actually sit at these different colored tables. I use blue skin for the blue table. And you can have personal conversations. So each one of these tables is private. So I can only hear and talk to people at the blue table. If I want to move over to the yellow table, now I can only hear and talk people that are at the yellow table. So the 53 people that are watching, you would all be divided up into different tables, probably tables of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people, whatever it is. I would be on stage talking. And then afterwards, you could all turn to the person to your left or to your right and say, wow, doesn't, Molly host amazing events and I can't wait to come back. So really kind of adding in that layer of social networking to traditional online events. And then the other opportunity, and this one is, I think, absolutely massive, is remote meetings. So we as a team no longer do any Zoom, any Google Hangouts, nothing video based. We do everything inside of our product, and loving it. The reasons being is because one, it's great to do video chats, but on a daily basis, I get pretty tired of sitting basically with a straight back in the same position over 8 hours. And also, I think we all have our own private lives, and if you're going to work from home, I don't need to see the things that are in your home. It's not necessary. So it's really cool from that point where people are able to be there without exposing a lot of the weaknesses of what it feels like to sit on a call all day. And so that's the other thing that we're working towards, is working with remote companies who want to come together, have these meetings, have them be fun, and get that culture back that we all lost abruptly, about 2 months ago. So anyone, who's interested, the way that the product works, it's a self-serve system. So we don't need to talk to you. You don't need to, do anything. You can go on our website and you can create your venue today. The venues are free. Up to 60 people, it's free. So you can go in there and host right now your own event or your own team meeting. So if you have a company of, let's say, 30, 40 people, and we have a company of 15 people. So what happens is whoever is leading the conversation will actually get up on stage. So I'll get up on stage here. There's some screen sharing features, so I can share my screen to the screens behind me. And then everyone in the audience is people that are on our company teams, and they divide up by tables according to which team they're on. So it's really great. It's efficient, very, very fun. And on a daily basis, you'll see us show up with purple skin. One of us might have rainbow colored lips. Like, it just adds this different level of engagement and fun to the team culture. Do we have any questions? Or Molly, do you have any questions?
Yeah, we got questions. I was just daydreaming about having rainbow colored lips. That. And I loved having blue hair, and I love Don's enthusiasm that he brings to all of this.
Yeah.
I just want you all to know too. Oh, that's so cool. That's so amazing. Oh my gosh, look at that. I mean, you guys are just hitting it out of the ballpark. I want you to know something about this Teooh venue. It's fun. I mean, we were laughing, and sometimes like you get to meet everyone that you would just dream about trying to meet. They're sitting right next to you, and you have this really deep conversation with them. And then every now and then someone teleports over to another table, and we were laughing because there was just one person who had so much fun. She just was sitting there by herself after it ended and just having a great time. And that's what happens. You don't want to leave. So we do have a question, Don. Here it is. It's actually two questions. Do you think this integration will hurt the workforce significantly? That's interesting.
The question is, will it hurt the workforce significantly?
Yeah.
From what perspective? Can we have some more clarification? As in, like,
I would assume that their vantage point here is just that, now it's more fun to do your event, so you don't have to be at a hotel, where there's all the staff putting it on. It makes it easier. I know for me, I've always found that when there's something new in technology, it creates new jobs. I mean, look at the people you're starting to hire. So that is their question, I think, from that perspective.
Cool. So I'll try to answer it. If it's not the right answer, please let us know. So I think what Corona, did was it accelerated the future, a future that was, inevitably going to happen. And so what's unique about this opportunity right now is that it's not a zero-sum game. It's not like Uber taking taxis over. What's happening is instead people are coming together and working together. So like a great example is, I have three examples, I guess. So, within the events realm, there are a lot of event organizers who, make their living on organizing events for other people. And currently, most of them don't have any events to organize. And that's, going to put a lot of people out of work. And so what we've done is work towards creating commercial partnerships with those people. so that they can actually make money themselves by staying alive and keeping their company alive, but converting it into virtual. So in that sense, I don't think that we would hurt or take jobs away from events. I think we're adding to them in a pretty significant way, because people are forced to change right now. And then with remote meetings, I think, I don't think this takes away anything from the meeting. What it does is it gives your team. So every Monday we have our team stand-ups, and we started doing them in a product about 3 weeks ago when it's officially ready. And the things that we've gotten from them are just unmeasurable. So for example, maybe a week ago, we're in there and it's my team who have very little experience, in larger roles. And then it's my co-founders team who are more experienced and they've done, a decade at IBM. So we have a lot to learn from them. And so they were over in their office, their virtual office, doing their sprint planning meetings. And we were over in our virtual side of the office, doing our meetings. And they, as they do, they are fantastic at planning, and I'm new to this, so I don't really know the right direction. So when we came together as a team afterwards to make kind of the overall company announcement, one of the people on my team happened to be sitting next to Steve, and Steve is the person who has a ton of experience with IBM and, teaching people how to plan. And so they ended up, because they were sitting next to each other, having this conversation about, hey, Don's thinking we should do it this way. And then Steve said, no, don't do it that way. Do it this way. These are the reasons. And so just in that one experience, our business is better off because of the serendipity. So Miranda talking to Steve and the fact that they just happen to sit next to each other, might have saved us hours or days of planning in the wrong methodology. And I think there's a lot of examples of like that, where bringing people together is really beneficial to have them in the same room. So I think it adds a total new layer to business meetings. And then the thing that keeps us in line with, current tools that are out there is that these screens are live web browsers. So I can, instead of my logo, if I'm on the desktop app, I can actually bring in a live stream. I could bring in a video chat of myself. I could bring in the product roadmap. I could bring in a presentation. It doesn't matter. And so you
2
don't
minutes
actually
remaining.
Say that again.
2 minutes remain.
Cool. So you don't actually miss out on anything from that perspective. It adds this whole new layer of what it was like to be back in the office. And I think after Corona, of course, some people will go back to a traditional company structure. I think there's no question about it. But like, for example, I know we won't be going back to our office. And I think a lot of people probably feel similar. And the reason why is because we were able to figure out a way to scale that fun, scale that culture, and scale the team camaraderie without needing to be in an office. Now, of course, it's still important, if you're in the same city, you should get team drinks occasionally, and like you still need to create, as good of a culture. But what this does is it actually gives people more freedom. So, the importance of remote work is that you can travel the world while you're working, and you can do things that you have on your bucket list while you're working. And so for us to be able to enable that at global scale, and also, have someone who's living on the other side of the world collaborating and feeling like they're in the same room with someone who's on the opposite side of the world, it's a really powerful thing to be working on. And hopefully over the course of the next 15 years, as VR becomes a more accepted and widespread technology, this only gets better. Right now it works in portrait mode, but it's a significantly better.
Don froze up there, but hopefully he can hear me, and I'm going to ask the final question, and that is, they want to know if you have any plans to bring this to immersive 3D VR. And what you can do, Don, is turn off your camera, or Robin, can you turn off his camera? That will give him a little more bandwidth. And if not, he was on his final 30 seconds. And I am so excited. We're going to show the flyer here in a second. I think that that might have been Don's final word there. He's remote out in the UK, and we're all doing the best we can with our different internet connections that we have going. Thank you so much, Don. That was just an amazing talk. Loved it. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're going to switch gears here because we're about to launch a panel. And Robin, why don't you go ahead and cue up the book trailer right now. Oh, first, yes, thank you, Robin. She remembered that we are at this point showing the event that is happening on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. There's the code. So you download the app from your iOS only device, and then you use that code and you will join our group, and you don't want to miss this.